down a bit? Like,
Right here.
considerably amount?
Yes, I know. I had to
I'm live.
sit next to you.
Oh, can't have that playing in the background.
What?
Get demonetized. It's not copyright free music.
Oh.
I still have the lo-fi playing in the background. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Emily. Happy Sunday. Good morning by the skin of my teeth. I did have the stream planned for 11:15, but then my computer decided to start locking up, so I had to reboot it.
Yeah, the computer decided to have a seizure.
It takes about 20 to 25 minutes for the thing to fully come back to life. So, had to push it to 11:30. Good morning, lover of wolves. Definitely not dog lover.
Good morning.
Yes, happy Sunday. Happy blood and beans. If music is too loud or anything like that, please let me know. Feels good to wake up in the morning. I was just explaining in the chat. I said it's good to wake up Sunday when I feel like getting up. Obviously hit the bathroom, grab myself a cup of coffee and a cigarette, put on some lo-fi, and set up the stream. It's typically my Sunday routine unless I go fishing, which I honestly cannot wait to get back out in my kayak.
I keep trying to get him to go ice fishing.
Yeah, screw that.
Obviously, this year was not the year.
And Dog Lover told me, she says, that's an excellent way to start your week. And I didn't really I thought about that for a second, because Sunday is technically the start of the week. And if I stop looking at it as the end of the weekend and the start of the week, I don't know, Monday just doesn't seem quite as scary. I think that's just a really healthy perspective. Like, have a really nice Sunday, have a good Sunday morning, and consider that, starting your week. That's how you're starting your week off. And I appreciate that. That's a very healthy perspective. Oh. Pockets made me coffee. It's nice and hot and wonderful.
In the Friday the 13th cup?
Yes, in my Friday the 13th cup. Somber has the same cup.
If you're going to do what it means, you have to do it in your Sunday mug.
This is true. I possess literally no knowledge on fishing. Is ice fishing more difficult or dangerous or something?
Ice fishing, yes, can be more dangerous because you're in a shanty. I suggest...
Not really. If you know where you're fishing, most of the time, even when you're fishing out on the ice, you're not walking out to the middle of the lake where it's 20 feet deep.
No.
You're fishing on the ice where the water's 4 feet deep. So if most of the time, if you're a smart ice fisherman, yes, depends on how thick the ice is. But if the ice is 4 feet thick, then yeah, you can go out a little further. But most of the time, people are pretty close to shore. There are ice people you don't even need an ice shanty. You can bring an ice shanty. This way you have a place to sit and it's warm. It's basically a shack on skis.
It's cool.
You slide it out on the ice. It's got a hole in the floor and you cut the ice out of there, and
it has a small hole in the floor.
You can't use obviously a large fishing pole because you're not casting, right? You're not throwing your line way out in the water. You're just dropping it
down.
So ice fishing poles are usually different. They're shorter. The reels are a little bit different because of how you're fishing. It's not that it's more dangerous. It's just personally, I'm not a big fan of the cold. A big part of me
you can put heaters in there.
I don't care about the heaters. You're still sitting on snow. And this is my point. When I go fishing, I'm not going to catch fish. I will go catch fish, and I like catching fish, and I consider it a successful day of fishing if I at least get a bite. As I say, feel that tug on the end of my line. That's really the goal, right? Of the fishing aspect part. But I don't go expecting to catch anything. Because most times, not most times if I have my kayak, but there are even some times in my kayak that I come home with nothing. Usually I'll get at least a bite. But there's sometimes I do come home with nothing. But that's okay. That's not why I go fishing. I don't come home to bring home fish or pictures of fish. I go fishing to come home with a relaxed mind.
That's why I
stories of, the beaver I saw splashing in the water about 10 feet off my kayak, or the big snapping turtle I saw that, when I was loading up next to the dock. I go for the wind, the chirp of the birds, the sunshine, that gentle rock of the water when you're in a kayak.
Well,
it's extreme.
You better get out.
It's extremely relaxing. It's easier to relax, obviously, in a kayak when it's not windy, because you're not blowing all over the lake. It's easier to relax when it's warm, not freezing. It's easier to relax when it's not raining. It doesn't matter. There's way too much setup with a shanty. Yeah, you also need a vehicle to pull the shanty. You need to make sure the ice is thick enough to support you, and now a shanty. There's way
but there's a lot
way more setup involved.
If you find a place,
I don't want to go fishing in an outhouse in the winter. I don't care how warm it is.
Way bigger than that.
I'm good on it. No, it's not my kind of fishing.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to explain what I did when I was a kid. And
Speak up.
One time, it was just, it was 2 times. My great-grandfather, while he was still alive, he took us out, and he had rented a shanty, which was already on the ice. Already had the auger in there, so we had to drill, we could drill. And I remember, you have to constantly scoop out the ice, or you're going to refreeze, and you don't want to do that. But it was a lot of fun. If you dress warm, you get a little heater in there, and you have a little radio going. I find that's relaxing too, because he would always bring folding chairs with the warming pads.
But let's also consider that you weren't part of the setup. You got there, the shanty was there, the auger was there, it was already warm.
Yeah, that's the nice part about it. You go in
and
find a place like that.
And another thing, let's even say, all right, so you get this place, and it's warm.
What if you catch a big bass?
Okay, what are you seeing of the outside world? Are you enjoying nature? No, you're in a shack. You're in a small room with a cold floor and warm air.
Windows.
And you can look out the windows. I would much rather be out in nature. That's why I like fishing. I don't like fishing, even when I was a kid, because I didn't have a kayak as a kid. And when you go fishing off of the shore or something, unless you have an excellent fishing spot, or it's a small body of water, the fish don't typically come to you, right? Like, you have to go to where the fish are. So if it's a bigger lake, there's a chance that you're fishing in a spot where, there's just not that many fish, because the fish are all over the place. There might be even better places for them to be. There are a lot of times when I fished offshore that I didn't catch anything, except maybe sunfish, and that's if the place had sunfish. And even then, sometimes the sunfish weren't biting. But it never mattered to me. I remember being a kid and loading up my tackle box when I got home from school because I had a shit day, or I had a good day, or I just had a boring day. It really didn't matter. I just wanted to unwind a little bit. And yeah, I had video games and shit in my room, but man, when it was warmer out, I'd load up my tackle box, I'd have my fishing pole, and I'd go walk. I'd go walk down to the creek. I'd go walk up to the ponds. I'd go somewhere and go fishing. I don't know. And I'm not saying that, if you enjoy ice fishing, like my wife does, like ice fishing isn't fun. Maybe it is fun. It's just not for me. It negates the reasons why I go fishing, personally. I go fishing to be enveloped in nature, to be able to enjoy nature. I like
going in the spring too.
Good morning, Lilith. I saw that you are here now. Good morning. How are you?
Really isn't.
So, but yeah, I'm very much love fishing, and I'm not even a big creek fisherman. Like, go walk a creek or a river, go fishing for trout and stuff like that. I live right next to the Hudson. I don't go striper fishing. I don't have a large boat to get out on a large body of water. Kayak you can do just about any body of water. It doesn't really matter. But I enjoy lakes. I enjoy fishing for bass. Bass is my favorite fish to fish for. Now, do I like pike and pickerel? Yep. That you can actually start earlier. You can start in May. I like perch. I like fishing for crappie, which have a really bad name. That's a terrible name for such a great fish. The crappie, is terrible as that sounds, is actually pretty awesome. Has a lot of meat on both sides and very little bones. It's very, very easy to fillet. It's like a giant sunfish, and they're really good. So, as crappy as the crappie sounds, a lot of people actually go out and get them, and what they call them is slabs. Got another slab, because basically it's a slab of fish meat with a head. Good fish. I've only caught one out of that lake. Tons of bass. I've caught plenty of pickerel. I've caught perch. Caught quite a few different fish out of there. I've only caught one crappie. I didn't even know there were crappie in there when I was fishing in there. And I'm pretty sure it's the biggest one I've ever caught. I've caught a few. I didn't even know that they could get this big. And I do have a picture of it. I saved it. And I took a picture of it next to my foot, which is a size 11.5 shoe. So when you take a look at that size 11.5 shoe next to that fish, like, you can tell, like, if you know the size of that shoe, it's a big fish. That's a big, it was for a crappie anyway, which is, an overgrown sunfish, but to be like 14 inches long, like bigger than my foot.
Overgrown sunfish.
It's that was good eating. Got 2 big fillets off that thing. But I love getting out in that kayak in the morning. I'd say that's my favorite way to fish because it literally envelops. It's not like going and sitting on the shore where you're sitting in nature. You go in the kayak and you're enveloped in nature. You're sitting where you actually are, where your ass is literally below the water line. You're in the water. Like the top of the kayak's above the water, and most of you is above the kayak, but you're sitting right in the water. You're right next. You could put your hand out and touch the water on either side. You're right there in the water. You can feel the rock of the waves. The wind controls everywhere you go in a kayak. So you really have to plan by what the wind is doing and where you want to tuck in and where you want to fish. And it's quiet. It's not like a motorboat. These things, they float so shallow that you can get anywhere the fish are. Like, one of my favorite places to fish is at the end of the lake where there's a bunch of lily pads. And it's a swampy area to get to it by foot. So you can't fish there unless you're in a boat. In a kayak, it's so quiet. You just float right up in there. So fishing in a kayak is actually a lot more like hunting. You're kind of figuring out where they are, where they like to sit. And if you're quiet enough, you can stealthily move right in. And you can really get some things. So I can't wait. If you can't tell, I can't wait to get back out in my kayak. I didn't go fishing once last year. Not once. Because I was just so busy with my new job and kind of was putting all my devotion into it. And that was stupid. So, new job that I got this week, though, is going well. A full week of training. Holy shit, a lot of information to remember. And they're pretty specific about what their expectations are. Definitely a bit of a stressful position. I think once I learn the systems, I'll be alright, but it's very much like it's a franchise thing. Like, it's like a McDonald's. You go all day long. There are times where I am going to have to help out here and there on weekends and nights and stuff like that. But learning the systems, awful lot to learn. It is what it is. I'm going to keep giving it my all. So far, I'm doing okay. So, but this week the training ends and the actual doing stuff begins. So, a little nervous, but it's fine. I'm not one to back down from a challenge. Emily says, I don't know if I would go out in a kayak either. I would need a very large boat with a lot of separation between me and the water and air conditioning and all that jazz. Air conditioning.
Battery operated.
And dog lover of wolves says afraid to kayak. Listen, both of those I guess are valid points. Even myself, like my kayak, my wife laughed at me when well, not laughed at me. She actually said it was a good idea. It does look a little funny, but it's an orange kayak, so I made sure to get orange noodles for it.
Put ballasts on
I
it.
put stabilizers. You can buy stabilizers for kayaks, so you don't tip over side to side. They're floats that typically they come out on arms and they stick out on either side of your kayak. Sometimes people have like one long pontoon one on one side, so it has the weight on the one side, but it can't go into the water, so that'll keep you balanced. But I watched this YouTube video where this guy put like two little pieces of noodles on the front of his kayak, and like he stood on the front and he was like, look at this, like it's stable. It's not super stable, but it's stable. So I took 2 full noodles and strapped them to the sides, 2 orange noodles, and strapped them to the sides of my orange kayak, running right down the side, right down the ridgeline on both sides. And like I said, could I tip over? Oh, absolutely. If I lean too far or try to grab something and just not thinking about it, like, yeah, I could tip over if I was trying to tip over. But like if I just move a certain way or like, shift too far to the right, something that would normally tip me over, I'm able to catch it. Like you can feel the pushback on either sides. The noodle stabilizers that I've homemade to this and strapped to this thing really do help. It does create a little bit of drag because I have that bungee cord running around the side, underneath, and then back over the other side to strap them. I have two bungee cords so that I can strap the pontoons to the side. So that cord running underneath the keel does create a bit of drag, so you don't move quite as fast as you would if it wasn't there. So you sacrifice a little bit of speed to gain a lot of stability, and I will take it all day. It makes it so nice. So I'm pretty cautious as well. I do realize that you could tip over. I've seen people tip over. Have I ever tipped over in a kayak? No, I haven't tipped over once. One time I did go up to shore, go to take a leak, and then came back to my kayak and went to get back in it. And I was stupid and put both feet in it before I was already like moving to sit down. I just kind of went to stand up in it and get myself into it. Wasn't thinking. I think I just got done smoking a joint or something. And the whole thing, bloof, I went right into the water. I wasn't already in the kayak, so I don't consider that tipping over. But that's really the only thing that's happened. I had to pick up the kayak, I had to drain it and everything. And I still fished. I didn't stop. Whatever. I don't care if I'm soaking wet.
No, he came home wet. It was funny.
Whatever. It didn't bother me. And that's another advantage of fishing in the summertime.
Yep. You get hot, it just...
But no, I've never been in my kayak and tipped over yet. Now, I do realize that could happen. That's why all my stuff is tied to my kayak, but I make sure that none of it is clipped to me. And I try and make sure that I'm not tangled up in any of my cordage or anything. So if I do tip over in my kayak, it's easy for me to swim out. And I typically go out with a knife in my fishing vest. I have one of those life preservers with like 50 little pockets all over the freaking thing. And I usually have a little knife in there. So like if I do get caught on something, I at least have the opportunity, a chance to get my knife out and cut a cord or whatever it is. But yeah, I haven't tipped over yet, so. Yeah, I'm a really good swimmer. I can swim very well. Been swimming since I was 3. I love to swim. So, but anyway, like I said, I mean, obviously that's a concern. If you're afraid of the water, you can't swim. Then yeah, I could see why you were nervous. That's why I told all my kids, all of them, even the ones that were afraid of the water. And one of them is very afraid of the water.
Monica.
I know, but I've pushed them all of them, to learn how to swim. And here's
and at least they can doggy paddle.
Yes, they can swim. Every child of mine can swim.
Shiloh swims like a
Shiloh
fish.
swims. Yep. But the reason why that is when they were all very young, and all of them, none of them at this point in their lives, knew how to swim. Right.
And they
were a little bit nervous. Shiloh got over being nervous in about 20 minutes, not even.
Yeah, like 2
but
seconds.
beforehand, every one of them asked me the same question: why do I have to learn how to swim? And this is the example I shared with them. Well, someday you're going to grow up. You're going to have friends. Maybe one of those friends invites you to a party out by a lake or something. Well, let's say you have a couple of drinks. You slip and you fall in the water. What are you going to do? What happens if you ever fall into water? Afraid of the water or not, you have to learn how to swim because it'll save your life. So I've pushed all my kids to swim. Some of them, I think 2 of them, I've had to go out and, like, hold them up by their belly and let them learn how to do it and stuff like that. I think it was Monica and Shiloh. I think Sabrina did that on her own.
Yeah.
So it's important to me that, my children learned how to swim. So even if they're afraid of the water, at least they have the opportunity to get themselves out of danger. They have that ability. Actually, Fuzzy, that's how I learned to swim when I was 3. I didn't learn to swim on top of the water until I was 5. I used to listen, I guess, I have memories from when I was 3 years old, and I used to make my mother nervous. She didn't like me swimming under the water. I always swam under the water. It was my mother that taught me how to swim when I was 5, like on top of the water. This is how you stay afloat. This is how you doggy paddle.
Yeah,
this is all that stuff. Not me. I was diving.
But I was in Pennsylvania.
I used to dive off the dock at the St. Lawrence Seaway when I was 3. I've loved swimming. I've always loved swimming. And I learned how to swim underwater before I learned how to swim on top of water. Now I can swim really fast underwater. I've got that whole, that dolphin paddle, like down pat, where you don't even use your arms. Just put your arms at your side and move your body in a way like you're doing the worm and kick through the water like a dolphin would. And if you can get your momentum right, you can cover some freaking distance. So, but yeah, I love the water, as you can tell. I love swimming. I love the water. I love being out on the water.
I like pools.
I love boating. Love fishing. Love nature. Big fan of the outside world. Actually can't wait for it to get warm outside so I could start taking my family on hikes and stuff again, or go fishing early in the morning. Good times. Oh, we can spark this. I packed that for a reason.
Oh, excuse me, that was coffee.
It's okay. We all forgive you.
It was a very big cup of coffee.
Shiloh is at her grandmother's house. She's 13 years old now, so she's developing a life.
Attitude.
And an attitude, but a life. She's happy to have a ride to school every day again. That's nice. I'm so happy I can.
You forget to put on the butt warmer though, man. She gets mad at you.
I did it once, and she didn't get mad. She's like, "Dad, you forgot my seat warmer." Because the Subaru has seat warmers in the front seat, and she very much enjoys those in the winter time. They are leather seats, so I definitely can see her point. Even for me, it's uncomfortable. But
and in the summertime,
they're
bring
on.
out a towel.
Good morning, Dodge. How are you? Happy Sunday. Nice to see you. Cheers with the old bean juice.
I have lies.
Yes, and Pockets has a cup of lies. Decaf. So, but yeah, can't wait for the warm weather. Really can't. Fishing, hiking, and camping. I can go camping. In fact, last week, I'm pretty sure I was talking about it on last week's stream. I got my Subaru back. The Outback Turbo, the one that needed a battery and a brake light and an oil change. I got that back, and I've been driving that back and forth. I washed it, I waxed it, the whole nine. It looks nice. And I just got my Explorer back now, too. I dropped that off for front tires. So I got my Explorer back, and I brought that to the car wash. I didn't wax it, but I did wash it, give it a nice, good soap and wash down. So now I've got my Urban Assault vehicle, and I've got my Bug Out vehicle. The Explorer is the bug-out vehicle. Load that thing up and go. And it's one of the minis, so like it gets pretty good gas. It's an Explorer Sport. It's a two-door Ford Explorer, and it only has 4 seats. Like there's 2 seats in the front, and there's 2 seats in the back, and that is it. You can put 5 in there, not quite as comfortably, and there's no seat belt in the middle seat because you're basically just sitting on a lump. But you could put 5, and then obviously it's got a little bit of trunk space and stuff too. So, and it gets decent gas mileage because it's the sport version. It's not like the big assault, vehicle or whatever, the giant SUV, Ford Explorer XLT or whatever. No, I like my little Explorer Sport. It's perfect. And then the Subaru, which Subaru seats 5 easily. So yeah.
And the dog.
Yup. Inside and out. I washed down the inside of mine and I got it cleaned out. I didn't vacuum it, but that's coming. Both vehicles are going to be completely cleaned out this summer. I use my Outback to get back and forth to work. Not really because it's better on gas. It's really not. I actually think it's worse than the Explorer on gas. But not by much. Like maybe a couple dollars a week. But it's a safer vehicle. It just feels safer being in that Subaru. It's my first Subaru I ever owned, and I get what people are saying about Subarus now. I totally do. Like, it's such a stable vehicle. It corners like it's on rails, and you can tell that the center of gravity is below where I sit. So it hugs the ground very well. That all-wheel drive works really well. Performs great in the rain, performs great in the snow. I do really like it. It's great for getting back and forth to like work. And the Explorer, it's a good vehicle for a nice long trip down the highway. It's a good vehicle to go camping in. And we could do the same thing with the Subaru, but with the Explorer, it's again, you can put the back seats down and make like a 5.5 foot bed, and Pockets and I'll leave like the hatch open or something all night, and we'll just sleep in the back seat. Usually in April because it's cold, so it's just warmer in the Explorer than it is in the cabin. The cabin's not heated, but we start our camping in April, end of April. And now that I've got both vehicles back up to snuff, it's nice to know that I will be able to go camping in April. Hashtag what makes a Subaru a Subaru. I mean, it's true though. Again, I've never driven one, and I used to kind of pick on, not pick on them, but like, Subaru is just what makes a Subaru? Nothing. It's just a car. It's not just a car. They're built completely different, and I can see why they're built the way they are. And I guess apparently they go, if you take care of it, it'll go for like 300,000 miles. Yep. This one's got $130 on it, so it should last me basically the rest of the time that Shiloh's in school. I should have that car. And then when Shiloh gets old enough, though, 3 years, she's going to get the Explorer, because the Explorer currently only has 59,000 miles on it. Pockets and I bought it 4 years ago. It had 27,000. It was like a brand new car.
They wanted 5,000. I gave them down to 3.9.
Yep, 3.9. But it had 26,500 miles on it. 2003. I bought it. It was a 2003 Subaru, and I bought it 4 years ago. So 2018. Just about 2018. It was a 2003 Subaru Explorer, 2003 Explorer. 26,500 miles on the engine. It was basically brand fucking new. And yeah, we talked them down to $3,900. $3,900. Bought it outright. So I mean, I've been driving it for 4 years, but I don't drive it all the time, because even before I had this Subaru, I had a Hyundai Elantra, which was a 4-cylinder. It was a standard. It was great on gas. Great on gas. Loved that little car. But that's what I drove all over the place. I drove my Hyundai all over the place. So that saved, from driving on the Explorer. And the Explorer I take on long trips. I'll take that, back and forth to camp and stuff. It was easier packing the Explorer than it was this little Hyundai Elantra. So we'll use the Explorer. So I don't drive it much. I was driving it in the winter because the Hyundai is not good in the winter. So that car sucked in the winter. So even if I thought it was going to snow, I took my Explorer back and forth to work in the wintertime. And winters in New York do last a while. So I have put some miles on it. But now I've got my Subaru. So now I can take that back and forth to the winter. And I can take that, back and forth during the work, all week because it's safe and whatnot. And good in the wintertime. Don't need to drive the Explorer. The Explorer is just it's a place to store Shiloh's bicycle in the wintertime. And it's good. I drive it like once a week just to work the engine. But basically I just take it camping. How long does it take for me to edit a 30-minute narration? That depends. It depends on how many sound effects are in it. It depends on how many characters. So, like, editing The Boatman, which was a 15-minute narration or whatever. But, like, we'll say Mickey's House of Pain. Mickey's House of Pain is like a 30-minute narration. I play all the parts in it. So it doesn't have any voice lines to put into it. It has a decent amount of effects. To edit the whole, just the narration part of it doesn't take me long. Just to clip those files together and just have one long narration. That takes me 15 minutes. To put in all the sound effects, that'll take me another, 20 minutes. Obviously then I have to render and stuff, so rendering time for me on a 30-minute narration like that, if there's no video file, 3 minutes to render it, each one of those. But then after I do the effects, then I add video to everything. I gotta search for it, paste the links, I gotta make the title, the thumbnail for it. So putting the video together can take me, sometimes it can take me 45 minutes to get a video portion done just because of that. But I know I'm pretty good when I'm looking and stuff. So again, probably about 20 minutes to make the video portion. Add music, 10. Then I have to do acting bits. So adding those acting bits and then like the intros and outros to the video, again, probably about 10 minutes. Once the acting parts are like done and stuff. So altogether, if there's no voice lines, not a lot of sound effects, I could be done in about an hour and a half to 2 hours. The last Confronting Evil video took me total, and I actually started totaling this up, took me about 6 hours. Because there was so many voice lines. Going back and adding all those voice lines in order, in according with the script that I've color-coded. And that one was pretty light on sound effects. Wasn't super light, but it was pretty light on sound effects. But it took me probably about 5-6 hours total to get that done. Because there's just so many extra steps. Actually, a lot of Mickey's House of Pain is based in truth. If you listen to the end of that video, the research that the guy does on Disney, and some of that is actually where I got the idea for the story in the first place, it's all true. All that research information is true. That's all the shit that I found when I was researching Disney. Yeah, it is. That was Lilith's first video of mine, if I'm not mistaken, was Mickey's House of Pain. Back in the days of Ultra Vengeance. Yeah, collabs can be, they can be, right? I make sure, and a big part of that too is, when I say 6 hours, I'm including everything. I'm including downloading everybody's voice lines and putting them through Audacity to bring their voice levels up to just about where everybody else's voice levels are, clean up any background noise, save every one of those files into, the folder, and then I'll start adding voice lines after I've clipped together my narration to make it flawless, or what I feel is, without mistakes. So all that takes time too. And if you have, my wife, Shiloh, me as Huck, and Blades as Cash or Blue Eye, and Somber as Seth, and Mackenzie as Mary, and it just keeps going and going and going. Because I don't add all those lines at once, because I'm afraid that the program itself will crash. It's done that for me before. With the last few Locust Lakes I was doing, once I got over like 110 voice lines. And by the way, that last story, I think that's still, that last Locust Lake story, Something Wretched, that I did, the introduction of Seth and Mackenzie right before Confronting Evil came out, that last one in that ending trilogy, Something Wretched, had 136 voice lines and over 150 sound effects. That video took me a long time to put together. But it was, the last Locust Lake story that was going to be released for over a year. And I wanted to make sure I did it spectacular. And I used as much actual footage of Locust Lake as possible in the video to make it really just, bring it home. This is an homage to the entire series. That one took a long time. That's the 1999 series. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know, but that's when I say, I was stalked by a creepypasta stalker or whatever the name of that is. True story. That whole Mr. Bear incident is that, it happened. And that's kind of what I got kind of mixed up in something very similar. If you guys have been following that Memory Man story I released and research updates and stuff like that, I've got more to tell. It's coming out this Friday. I've actually had more to tell for a while, but then there was Christmas, and then I lost my job, and I was going through some things, so I haven't been able to get it released. Probably should have been released in January, but it's being released this coming Saturday, so hope you enjoy. I guess I probably could have came out with it in December, but it really didn't fit the Christmas theme. Hey, somebody's threatening me, but it doesn't fit Christmas, so we'll talk about it later. Yeah, no, I'm following the same path with Memory Man. But again, feels personal, and for those of you that have heard that first story, kind of really brings home why, because, if I could have done something earlier, like when I was 7, maybe if I would have said something earlier, it could have changed things, maybe saved somebody else's life. So whether or not I kind of already am invested. You should listen to those, because that's also true things that are happening right now. And yes, why did I start doing this? Honestly, I don't really think about, at least I didn't used to think about that incident very much when I was 7. And on top of that, I've always wanted to delve more into the 1999 series, and I can't. Not allowed. I can't have those videos up anymore. That's actually why I uploaded all of them. I think there's 13, all of them into one giant video. And that's because if the video gets reported or taken down, it's 1 strike instead of 13 strikes. So that's why I did it that way. But when I was researching that and being stalked and had somebody claiming to be Mr. Bear threatening my family and shit, and I was making these updates, I got approached by the person who wrote 1999, finally, right after the series ended, when I was done researching it. and he wrote me an email asking me to take them down. He asked me to take my version of 1999 down, and then I replied actually and asked him, I have no problem taking that down, but can I leave these up as well? And he listened to a couple and he said, no, these have to come down too, because you're referencing my story and all this other stuff, which personally I feel if I'm being stalked by somebody pretending to be someone, like, that's my story to tell, period. Pretty sure that's protected in like creative works laws. But it's not something I was really able to fight with YouTube. YouTube doesn't care. This guy reports it. It's a strike. It's going to get taken down. It doesn't matter what the laws are. If I want to argue the laws, then I have to fight YouTube, and it becomes a process. So I took them all down. So I've always wanted to do more with that, or at least look back into it, or make a second series, but I'm not really being stalked by anybody claiming to be Mr. Bear anymore or anything, so it's really, what am I going to do with it? I once toyed with the idea of retelling them and just using a different character, calling him, like, you know, the Bear of Misters, or Mr. Wolf, or whatever, and again, it changes the whole dynamic, and it's not truth, and it's not an actual update on something that's happened to me, and it doesn't feel authentic and genuine, so I didn't do it. The original stories with the original videos, so like in those stories, if you listen to that Mr. Bear 5.5 hour compilation video, you'll hear a lot of things in there about, like, you know, this email or this video that I've put together from different clips that were out of order. I put them back in order, and this is what I found, and all these things that I researched, and then, like, I supposedly showed on the screen. Obviously it's not on that. That video is just one long video clip in the background with my narration over top of it. If you want the original videos that go along with the stories, in my Discord there is a channel called The Cave, and in The Cave are links to a accessible Google Drive with all those stories in order. So you can go there and watch all those stories with the original video content, if you know where to look. They are hidden in The Cave. Get it? Mr. Bear, The Cave. But then one day, I don't know what it was, I think I was listening to a true crime story, and that's when I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I was almost kidnapped once. And then I started thinking about it. What if something happened to somebody else and I didn't know it? And then I researched it, and what I researched I didn't like, and what Doughboy told me I didn't like. It made me, you know, that affirmed everything. Like, yeah, that's possible. And then I also thought, well, it's a perfect opportunity to do something very similar to that 1999 series, which was scary, and it was, you know, dangerous, but you know what else? It was popular. People liked it. People wanted to hear about it. People wanted to hear more. People like it when I'm in danger. People like it when I'm afraid. I just look at, you know, hey, I'm going to go live stream a game. What do you guys want me to live stream? FNAF VR. Go stream FNAF. Why does everybody want me to go stream FNAF in virtual reality? Because I scream like a sissy girl, and I talk like I'm really, really nervous, and I'm really, really scared, because I am. And everybody enjoys it. They laugh. It's hilarious. Everybody gets a good kick out of it. It's all in good fun, right? Everyone likes it when I'm scared. Everyone likes it when I'm, again, when it's not like dangerous, like my life is in immediate danger, but people like a little sense of danger. People like a mystery. And this is something, again, I just wanted to bring to this channel as well, not just my old one. And this is a great way to do it. Sorry, I have not been reading comments. Let's go back. Alright. From you as well. It's been so long, though I honestly could be completely mistaken. The difference literally could have been an hour. Ah, yeah, I gotcha. So, like, catching them both. I love that you listened to those 1999 stories, Emily. That's actually kind of cool. So when I talk about, like, these things, like, I'm glad that you're aware. You know, that's was a pretty big thing, I guess, at the time. Problem, my editor was having my editing, my Disney narration, my recording ended up being over 4 hours long. And he was saying the editor kept fudging up. I mean, editing audio it's not rocket science, and everybody does it differently, and everybody I've talked to does it differently. When I tell them how I do it, they're like, what? I do it all in Audacity. See, I don't like trying to edit video in Audacity. You can't clip together different clips beginning to end. You have to go through, and that's why people, when they mess up, they'll clap or like make some kind of like, so they know where to look and go back and fix. And I don't like that. I don't want to have to sit there and play detective. That's not a time saver. What I do is I'll make sure I use like Voice Recorder, a program that when you click the record button, record something, and stop recording, it labels it as recording 1. Then you click it again, record something, you stop recording, and it saves the file automatically as recording 2. And it places these in a folder somewhere, right? And it lists them in order. So what I'll do is I'll go back until I end up until I go back and fuck up. Now see what I did there? So like, what I'll do is I'll go and have a narration until I fuck it up, right? Then I'll stop it. That's recording 1. Then I start recording 2 right before the fuck up. Like the beginning of that sentence where I ended up fucking up the word in that sentence. I misspoke. I tongue twisted. I said the wrong word. Whatever it is. I didn't articulate enough. I'll start at the first word before that sentence, or the first break in my voice, basically, where I had a pause. I'll start there. And then I'll record until I fuck up again. Stop it. That's recording 2. Recording 3. I start right before that fuck up. And again, and I keep doing this until the story is done, right? Let's just say this one's a tidbit and it's only 2 files. So I recorded, I fucked up, I stopped it. I started recording again right before that, and I recorded right to the end of the video, right to the end of the story. So now I'll take these and I'll actually put them in Movie Maker. So I'll put any picture. I use a black picture, completely black. But any picture will work. You could put a picture of your face up there. It really doesn't matter, because you're not going to save it as video. You're going to save it as audio. So I'll put a picture up there, and then I'll add the audio files, which are my narration files. I'll find them in that folder, wherever it is. I'll save them to another folder, which says the title of the story, and put that on my desktop. But then anyway, so I'll bring up that picture. I'll make it as long as I need to be. We'll say, longer. So, I'll put 2,000 seconds, which is like a half an hour. And it's a tidbit, so it's 5 minutes long. And then I'll load the audio onto that as 1 and 2, in order. I'll cut off the very beginning of the first one, so like it doesn't have any breaths in there and startup noises and stuff like that. And then anything right before the beginning of the second file, I cut it off right before I start talking. So it literally, the file starts with me talking at that point where I fucked up. And then what I do is I overlap these voice files. So it goes right to that point and then starts the second file where I fixed the fuck up and goes right to the end and creates a flawless narration. It's actually really easy. Explaining it's very hard. Doing it is extremely simple. And then I edit the video to be the same length as the audio, and then I save as audio. So I get an audio file. It doesn't come with video. Now I can go back in and put my video files in Movie Maker and have my transitions from black to the video file and everything else. Then I'll put the audio over top of it. I'll go find the narration I just saved as an audio file, throw that over top of it, make sure the video is cut to the right length, so it's the video with the transitions and everything, and I'll save it. I'll save that as the video. Now it's a video with my narration, doesn't have any music. So now I'll load up Movie Maker again. I'll add that video into Movie Maker, which is the video and my narration all in one. I'll put in my intros and my other transitions and my outros, and then I'll add music as an audio file, and I'll save that, and it's done. So it takes me 3 steps, basically. I gotta cut my narration, then I gotta add audio to video, then I gotta add music to video. For collabs, let's say I'm going to do, there's 8 people in this confronting evil. Somber and Mary have the most lines. So I'm going to clip together all my audio and save that as a video file with the picture and everything. Then when it's the picture video with my narration in it, I'll add Somber's and Mary's lines. I'll cut the video in places where it needs to be shorter. I'll paste blank video where it needs to be longer and cut it to the right length for their voice lines. And then I'll get them all where they're supposed to be and save that as a video. And then I'll add more voices as audio, save that as a video, all the way through the effects. Everyone's voices are in. Now I'm going to add effects to it. So I'm going to save everybody's voices as video with the picture and everything and add effects where the sound effects need to be. When that is done, then I save it as an audio file and I go back and I add the actual video to the audio, then the music to that video that I just saved. If any of that makes sense. Oh, Mr. B Air. That's perfect. Mr. B on the air. Mr. B Air. Caledon Local 12. 1-2. Yeah, I can't do that. It's cheesy. And luckily, whoever the hell that person was has left me alone ever since I've ended that series. I have nothing else to report on about that anyway. So at least that is done, but I still wanted those videos up as like a record because it's an actual series. It has a very clear beginning and it does have a very clear ending. And it's 13 videos long. So I wanted them up. Plus they got a lot of views. I mean, my 1999 videos was what attracted everybody to my channel to begin with. You know, some of them had 40,000 views and everything. I liked those videos. I wanted them up, but yeah, they're gone. My old Krampus Claus video had 50,000. It was the highest watched video on my channel. And even that now is, that's gone. I mean, it's back up now. I've put it out a bunch of times, but it's not the 50,000 views one. Great thing about voicing Cash is that if I fuck up the lines or something, I don't have to re-record it because it's in character for him to talk like that, is what Blades says. I mean, that's true. It is, and I do try to have the characters also fit the personalities of the actors. It makes it not only more excited about being the character, but it makes the character come through way more authentic. And best example of that is Mary with Mackenzie. She fits the personality of Mackenzie so well that it comes out naturally and really does well to sell that role, to really bring that character to life for people. And that's important. Somber with Seth, there's, again, same thing. There's no doubt. He really brings that character home. Very authentic, very genuine. Blades and Cash. It's not like there's a direct correlation, but there's something there that really resonates. Same thing with Blades and Red Eye and Blue Eye. There's something there that really resonates with the character. Me and Huck. I love Huck. I love Ray Bob. I resonate with that character. I love the woods. I love moonshine. I love camping. I'm a mountain guy. I'm a forest guy. I don't know. It just, again, helps to really sell the character. Bring the character to life. I will be ending the stream here in about 7 minutes, so 6 minutes, and approximately. So if you have anything you want to throw in, I just wanted to put that out there because there's a delay. Dodge says, I tried to do a 1-hour collab with 4 people in it, and it took me a year. Yeah, and it depends on what your process is. I've been editing video the same. No one taught me. When I first started YouTube, my first video was horrible. I didn't know that you could control the volume of the music in the video differently. So my very first video, the music was just as loud as the narration. It was literally just a picture that blinked in and blinked out. I didn't edit the picture at all. I didn't add any animations. I didn't add any I had no idea what I was doing when I first started. Then I started tinkering with Movie Maker a lot, and I figured out a system, which is basically the system that I just told you. And over the past, how long have I been writing and narrating now? 10 years? It's been about a decade. I've worked out a system that works really well for me. Like last night, I did not listen to last night's video before I released it at all. I just haven't had the time. And I wasn't sure if there was any fuck-ups, anything I missed, anything I did wrong. And sometimes I do fuck up, right? I'll go back and I'll catch something. Sometimes. It's not all the time, but sometimes. This one did. It did have a fuck-up. One fuck-up where Mary was talking as Mackenzie and I in the background while she's talking, say, Seth asked, or something like that. Because I didn't put it where Somber had stopped talking. I didn't adjust that portion of my narration of the video to match up right with their lines. And if I would have listened to it, I would have caught it. But here's the thing. I would have listened to that entire video and caught that one fuck up. One. Well, and really, I don't think most people even noticed it. Some might have, but most people, I don't even think, caught it. Would I go back and start at the audio file where I added Somber and Mary and re-render that after I fixed it, then re-render all the voice lines, and not go back and do all the work again, but I'd have to go back and adjust every project as I went. All those steps, assuming I saved them all the projects. And I usually do save all the previous steps, in case I do have to go back. But would I have done all that work to go back and all that rendering for every project so I could move to the next project and adjust everything and render that so I could move to the next one just for that one little fuck up? No, probably not. That's just the truth. I probably just would have left that in. Because it really wasn't all that jarring. Now, if it's blatant, like it's really bad, or like, you know, I've got a chainsaw in the background, and I got all my sound effects are all in the wrong places, like they're not lining up where they need to be because something got deleted I didn't notice and everything shifted backwards and I just didn't realize it. That's happened before too. I would have changed that. And if that would have happened last night, would have been mortified. But that one little fuck up, nah, I would have left it. Lucas, how are you? Happy Sunday. So, I really do want to thank you guys for stopping in last night, or even listening later if you did check out Confronting Evil. I did really like, because that was the first time I listened to it. Came out really good, and really liked the ending to it. I think everybody really enjoyed that. So if you did check it out, I'm very happy. Part 3 will be out in Part 6. The next episode will be out in 3 weeks, not 4 weeks. So it is coming out in March, but it'll be the first week in March. So, well, it's still AM. So, good morning. Just very, very early morning. So, 3 weeks, new Confronting Evil will be out. You'll enjoy it. It's a good one. Doughboy wrote it, and he did a really, really good job with this one. It's out there. It's fucking hilarious. Oh my god, this one's funny. I think this one might be the funniest one of season 2. This might be the best, the funniest episode. He did a really good job with the humor in this. I think you're really going to like it, and it really does add. It's not like a filler episode. It really does add more to the story of what's going on. And, obviously we're halfway through the season now, right? It's 10 episodes long, and we just completed episode 5 last night. So we're on the second half of the season now, and yeah, you can expect things to start getting teed up for the finale. In bits and chunks and pieces, hidden in, things throughout here and there. But, yeah, things are coming, so. Well, I won't tell you anything about last night's Confronting Evil, except that it was good. At least I felt it was good. And everybody who was there also seemed to express the wows and holy craps, and so everybody really did seem to enjoy it. Of course it is. Valentine's Day. You can't, just because it's a love story doesn't mean you can't have a decapitation or two. So, cool beans, everybody. Cool beans. But it has been an hour. I'm gonna go and have the rest of my day. I'm gonna go jump in the shower after I eat some. Well, now it'll be brunch.
You can't. I'm going to the bathtub.
Okay. Well, I'll be. Pocket says I can't, but I doubt she's taking the bathtub for the entire day. So, I think she's got another thing coming. And yeah, I'll probably sit down in the game room for a little bit today when I'm all done with things. I'm going to clean out the desk area a little bit. I've been a little messy over here the past week. And if she's still in the tub, I'll probably just go play a game in the game room or something for a while before I take a shower. But you're not going to be in the shower all day, so I mean, eventually I will. I will be taking the shower. At some point, it'll happen. Now I was just, kind of solidifying that. But anyways, I absolutely love you guys. Am I doing a Valentine's Day story this year? Probably not. I just don't have anything written, and I'm currently working on Confronting Evil, and I probably would have had I not, been in such financial straits over the past 2 months, and my focus has just been elsewhere. And I upload 3 weeks ahead, and I'm already uploading into March. So, no. Not doing a Valentine's Day story this year, unfortunately. So, I do apologize for that, but, things happen. There will be a story. Just, if you wanted to look at it as a love story, sure. Why not? Yep, Valentine's Day. Here's a tidbit about the love of work. Absolutely love you all. Please be safe out there. Happy Sunday. Hope to see you this coming Saturday for that Memory Man update. And until then, be safe, stay creepy, work hard throughout the week, and we'll see you this coming weekend. Peace out, and TTFN. Bye-bye.